What if I told you that some of the most shocking secrets of the British royal family had been quietly simmering, hidden behind palace walls, for decades, and that now, at the age of 64, Prince Andrew has finally decided to speak. Not about charity work, not about ceremonial duties, but about Meghan Markle, about his personal interactions with her. And according to whispers from sources close to the palace, what he's admitting could send shockwaves across the monarchy and the world. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. You might be thinking, Andrew, talking about Meghan Markle? That seems impossible. After all, the man has spent years dodging headlines, facing legal scrutiny, and avoiding the glare of the public eye whenever the slightest hint of scandal appeared. But apparently, silence has its limits. And now, Andrew is breaking it. He's finally opening the vault. And what's inside isn't just intriguing. It's explosive. Imagine walking into a room where every step you take is scrutinized. Every word you utter is analyzed for meaning, misstep, or scandal. That's Buckingham Palace, the epicenter of tradition, protocol, and power. Every day, behind the golden gates, lives are meticulously curated to maintain an image of perfection. Yet within these walls, there are whispers, secrets, encounters no one is supposed to know. And somehow, one of those secrets is about to become public. Why does this matter now? Why, after all these years, would Andrew choose this moment to speak? Some say it's frustration, decades of being misrepresented in the press. Others argue it's desperation, an attempt to regain some control over a narrative that has repeatedly painted him in shadowy tones. But there's another, more compelling explanation: timing. This revelation comes at a moment when Meghan Markle is arguably at the peak of global influence. Every word she utters, every move she makes, is magnified. And suddenly, the stakes are astronomical. Let's pause for a second and think about the implications. Prince Andrew, a figure long associated with controversy and careful avoidance, now speaking candidly about Meghan Markle? The very thought feels surreal. It challenges everything we thought we knew. And the rumors, the hushed conversations, the palace gossip, they all begin to converge. The world has been primed for drama, but no one could predict this. Not yet. The story starts quietly, as most royal secrets do, with an encounter that seemed innocent. A casual meeting, a handshake in the corridors of power, perhaps a conversation about charity, or public duties, or life within the palace. But every small moment in such a world carries weight. Every glance is interpreted, every gesture analyzed. And it seems that in these small, almost imperceptible ways, something extraordinary was brewing. Something that would later be whispered about in hushed tones, then speculated on in tabloids, then questioned in documentaries. Andrew's relationship with the media has always been complicated. One moment, he's the charming prince at public events, smiling, waving, appearing composed and regal. The next, he's the target of rumors, whispers, and scandals that threaten to define his legacy. And yet, he's survived. He's endured. He's maintained his place in a monarchy that has seen countless upheavals, and he has done so by keeping certain truths buried. Until now, sources say that for years, Andrew has harbored thoughts and experiences about Meghan Markle that he never shared publicly, for reasons that might seem obvious. Fear of backlash, concern for reputation, loyalty to the royal institution, and perhaps even protection of personal boundaries. But private records, conversations, and even off-the-record comments suggest that there is a story here, a story far more intimate, far more complicated, and far more shocking than anyone expected. And according to insiders, Andrew's silence was not ignorance. It was choice, a carefully measured, deliberate choice. Now, imagine for a moment what this could mean. Meghan Markle, who has already navigated the treacherous waters of Hollywood fame and royal scrutiny, is suddenly placed at the center of a revelation she may have thought safely behind her. Prince Andrew, a man with decades of experience navigating scandal, suddenly reveals details that could reshape public perception. The tension is electric. Every palace aide, every family member, every journalist watching, they know that the next move could define a new chapter in royal history. And what does Andrew actually say? That's where the intrigue begins. He claims, according to sources, that he and Meghan Markle had multiple encounters, not just public appearances or casual meetings, but private interactions that were deeply personal. The exact nature of these interactions is, understandably, shrouded in discretion. But the mere suggestion, the mere hint that something far beyond what we've been told occurred, is enough to send shockwaves through the public imagination. Think about it. The British royal family is one of the most scrutinized institutions in history. Every relationship, every handshake, every smile is analyzed under a microscope. And now, decades of image, narrative, and expectation are being disrupted by Andrew's choice to speak. What was private is now public. What was hidden is now revealed. And for Meghan Markle, the implications are profound, not just personally, but for her public persona, her influence, and her narrative. But there's more. Andrew's decision to come forward is not merely about revelation. It's about control. By speaking now, he sets the terms. He chooses the story, the timing, and the audience. And in doing so, he forces the world to reconsider what we thought we knew, to question what has been reported, to rethink the dynamics within one of the most powerful families in modern history. Now, here's the twist. The story isn't linear. It doesn't unfold neatly. It's messy, contradictory, and at times almost unbelievable. That's part of what makes it so compelling. Andrew's revelations intersect with previously leaked documents, insider testimonies, and even social media chatter, creating a narrative that is at once chaotic and riveting. Every detail is a puzzle piece, every contradiction a spark for debate. And as we unravel it, we begin to see a picture that is far more complicated than the headlines suggest. As we move deeper into this story, ask yourself, how much of what you think you know about the royals is real? How much is curated, controlled, and carefully edited for public consumption? And if someone like Prince Andrew, a figure both infamous and powerful, chooses to break that curation, what does that mean for the entire monarchy? And then, just when you think the story has reached its peak, the real cliffhanger emerges. According to insiders, what Andrew reveals is only part of the truth. There are details, hidden motivations, and consequences that even the palace didn't anticipate. Moments that could redefine relationships, reputations, and even the line of succession in subtle, indirect ways. And for the public, the most shocking aspect may be this. The story isn't finished. Not by a long shot. So, the question becomes, what exactly did Prince Andrew admit? How will Meghan Markle respond? And what ripple effects will this have on the monarchy, the media, and global perceptions of one of the most watched families on Earth? These are the questions that will drive this exposé, chapter by chapter, revelation by revelation. And if you think you're prepared for the answers, think again. Because what comes next will challenge assumptions, ignite controversy, and keep you on the edge of your seat. And just as the world braces for impact, one thing is certain. What Andrew has chosen to reveal is more than a personal confession. It's a disruption, a scandal, a historical moment that will be dissected for years. And the true consequences, for Meghan, for Andrew, and for the royal family, are only beginning to unfold. But what comes next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What if I told you that everything you think you know about Buckingham Palace, the etiquette, the traditions, the perfect photo ops, is just a carefully curated illusion? That behind those gilded gates, behind the crimson carpets and golden chandeliers, there's a world of whispered secrets, calculated maneuvers, and unspoken rules that govern every move a royal makes? This is the hidden royal world, and for decades, Prince Andrew has been navigating it with a precision few outsiders could imagine. You see, the palace is not just a residence. It's a stage. Every smile, every handshake, every glance is choreographed. Staff are trained to anticipate needs before they're voiced, to keep scandals from reaching ears they shouldn't, and to maintain the image of impeccable composure. Yet within this polished facade, there is tension. There are rivalries. There are stories that are too explosive to appear in public, until now. Andrew grew up in this world. He was molded by it. A life of privilege, yes, but also of pressure. Every choice carries consequences, not just for him, but for the monarchy as a whole. The hidden royal world doesn't forgive mistakes. Missteps can echo for decades, shaping legacies in ways most people could never imagine. And Andrew, like the rest of the family, has learned to survive by mastering this secret language of power. Imagine being a young prince, constantly in the public eye, yet knowing that what you say in private can become front-page news overnight. Every friendship, every casual encounter, every comment to a staff member carries the weight of potential scandal. In this world, trust is scarce. Loyalty is measured not by affection, but by discretion. And mistakes can define you forever. Andrew has lived through many of these moments. There were times when rumors swirled, insinuations that threatened to overshadow his public duties. There were moments when the press speculated about his private life, when whispers grew into headlines, and yet the palace walls held firm, until the story found a way to leak. And over time, Andrew learned that sometimes silence was the most powerful weapon of all. But silence has a cost. Holding secrets, even within the confines of a palace, comes with an emotional toll. People are forced to compartmentalize their lives, to separate public duty from private desire, to maintain appearances while navigating personal complexities. For Andrew, this meant carrying knowledge of interactions, experiences, and observations that could never be shared without risking catastrophe. And for decades, he carried them quietly, behind the palace walls. Now, consider the layers of this hidden world. It's not just about power or protocol. It's about perception. Staff, advisors, aides, they all have a role to play in maintaining the narrative. Some are fiercely loyal, others quietly resentful. Some speak when they shouldn't. Others keep secrets that could ignite a scandal. Every day, decisions are made to protect the monarchy, often at the expense of individual truth. And yet, in this controlled chaos, moments of personal interaction slip through the cracks. Meetings in quiet corners, exchanges away from the cameras, subtle gestures that are invisible to the public eye. All of these are part of a tapestry that only insiders truly understand. And according to sources, it's in these private corridors that Andrew's story with Meghan Markle began to take shape, not as a headline, but as a thread in a much larger web of palace intrigue. Think about the contrast. On one hand, you have the public Andrew, the Duke who attends formal dinners, smiles for photographs, performs ceremonial duties, and appears unflappable. On the other, there's the private Andrew, navigating a world of secrecy, discretion, and personal conflict. It's a duality few can reconcile, yet it is essential to understanding the context of his later revelations. What makes this hidden royal world even more fascinating is its contradictions. Rules that apply to one family member may not apply to another. Privileges that are earned in one room can be revoked in the next. Loyalty can be rewarded with promotion or punished with exclusion. And all of it is meticulously observed, calculated, and recorded, whether by palace staff, private aides, or the ever-present media lurking at the edges. Andrew's life has been a masterclass in balancing these contradictions. He has navigated crises, survived rumors, and maintained his position within the royal family through sheer adaptability. But the personal revelations about Meghan Markle suggest that even someone as experienced as Andrew can be ensnared by desire, intrigue, and the unpredictable consequences of private actions. And this is where the tension escalates. Because the palace is a place where actions have consequences far beyond the immediate moment. A glance, a conversation, a choice made in private. Each has the potential to ripple outward, touching reputations, relationships, and even the public perception of the monarchy. For Andrew, these consequences are now coming to light, and the hidden royal world he navigated for decades is about to intersect with the global stage in ways that will shock and surprise. Imagine the anxiety, the careful calculations, the weighing of every move. Picture Andrew walking the palace halls, fully aware of the stakes, fully aware that any misstep could unravel carefully maintained narratives. Now imagine that within this environment, an unexpected dynamic emerges, one involving Meghan Markle, a woman whose own life has been under scrutiny, whose presence in the royal family was both celebrated and contested. The intrigue lies not just in the encounters themselves, but in how they fit into the palace's broader ecosystem. Every interaction carries layered meanings. Every gesture can be interpreted multiple ways, and every revelation can spark a cascade of reactions. Andrew, with decades of experience, understood this perfectly. And yet, the nature of these encounters was such that they couldn't remain hidden forever. Which brings us to the most compelling question. What happens when someone like Andrew, steeped in secrecy and trained in discretion, chooses to break silence? When the carefully controlled narrative of the royal family is disrupted by personal admission, when private experience becomes public knowledge, the result is chaos. And that chaos is exactly what makes this story so riveting. As we peel back the layers of Andrew's life, it becomes clear that the hidden royal world is not just about hierarchy and protocol. It's about human emotion, personal desire, ambition, and the inevitable clash between private truth and public expectation. For Andrew, navigating these waters has been a lifelong challenge.